thank you so much for tuning in. If you're here today, that's either because you want to manage stress and fear better during this uncertain time, or because you want to know the kind of power the story you tell yourself holds. One thing that binds all of us together is that all of us want to become better version of ourselves, right? And ultimately, we want to achieve our ultimate potential. So, to help us with that, this Wellness Wednesday, we have a very special guest who's joining us today. She's a life and youth leadership coach certified by the International Coach Federation. She started her coaching practice back in 2019 by coaching groups and individuals on certain important aspects like behavior and leadership. She has worked with some of the best businesses in Mumbai, and even schools, including the Bombay International School and the Starter Labs. So, our guest for today is Ankita Jagtiani, and please help me welcome her.
Hey Linda.
Hi, Ankita, how are you?
Great. Thanks for the introduction.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so happy to have you here.
Likewise, I think I love it. Yeah,
So, Ankita, I want to dive right in
sure.
because a lot of people are here with us today, and I'm sure they want to learn a lot from you. So, we are here today having this conversation because the pandemic has affected all of us. It has
Sure.
had an impact on our mental and emotional well being. And I was watching this one, live session you did, and I think I told you about this earlier. You mentioned that the only thing we can control right now during this pandemic is our response towards it, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
So,
could you, yes. So, could you talk to me a little about how we can manage our fear and stress right now during the pandemic?
firstly, I think we all should understand that um, this is something we're all facing. We're all in it together. And I think we've never been in something together as much as this, right? So it's
Right.
okay to feel stressed. It's okay to feel that little fear or little panic because it's a
Yeah.
new situation and you do feel like that when it's a new situation. So I think a lot of times people think that why am I getting stressed? It's normal. Be
Exactly.
aware of the fact that it's normal to feel stressed. What you
Mm-hmm.
can do, yes, instead of saying, okay, I'm stressed, I'm just going to dive right into work, which is what we tend to do. We tend to distract ourselves. Instead of that, it's kind of always important to acknowledge it. And I think the best example here that I use a lot actually is the fact that very relatable to everybody. If you or your friend has gone through a breakup, the first thing that you tell them to do is distract yourself. You know, throw yourself in deep into work and all. But what happens in that way? You don't deal with it. So it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to vent out about it. It's normal. We all feel panicky. We all feel stressed.
Right.
So
That is so true. Yes. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yes. So what I mean to say is, first, before you manage your stress, you need to understand these. You also have to actually, put yourself in the position to actually see what is in your control. Because a lot of times we're like, okay, this is a stressful situation. Yes, the pandemic is bad. Our country, I don't know who has what opinions, but are they being able to control? Is the government being able to control what is happening? It's becoming really bad. This is good, this is bad. So the point is, none of that is in our control. So it's again important to understand what is in your control and what is not.
Right. Exactly.
So we also tend to spend a lot of time on trying to control what is not in our control.
Yeah, that is so true. And you mentioned that it all starts with acknowledging your thoughts, right?
It does.
So,
Hmm. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So, so if the process starts at acknowledgement, then one needs to introspect on a regular basis, right? And an average human has like, I think, 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day, if I'm not wrong.
So about approximately 60,000 thoughts. But
Right,
we can't acknowledge everything. We can't
exactly.
we can't be aware of everything. But if something is bothering us, we're obviously taking our time to be aware of that. So
Right,
why don't we choose another thought that we're getting? Sometimes the good thoughts don't really stay in our minds, or we don't really look at that good thought because it's not making us do anything. It's not making us panic.
right. So how do we focus on those good thoughts as well and give them equal weightage, or at least more weightage?
Like you, I think, rightly said, it does start a lot with introspection. Everything that I'm saying today is not a quick fix. Nothing in life is, right? Nothing can
Right,
happen in a second. But the minute that you know you can do this, now we're talking and we know we can switch our thoughts. Oh, could I do that? Yes, you could. The minute you know something, you might actually try to be more aware of it.
right. That's wonderful. So, we are mainly going to talk about the power of the words or the
Sure.
stories we tell ourselves, right? So, how important is that? And more importantly, how do they affect us?
Okay, so let me ask everybody here, and they can kind of put it in the chat box. How important do you think words or stories are in your life? And Linda, let me pose that question to you as well. How important do you think it is?
Words are super important to me. So, I kind of write poetry. I've been writing
Oh, wow.
poetry since a really young age. So, it's been my creative outlet. So, if
Okay,
I want to express myself, I go to words. So, I have to use words. So words are
okay.
super, super.
So absolutely, words are extremely important. What is also important is how you use your words.
Yeah,
So your just think about this, that when there is a song, okay, and suddenly that song is, say, a Sufi song, next thing they put in that whole remix version into it, it becomes a dance song. So the words are the same, right? But
right.
how we're using those words is what is important. So how we tell ourselves that story is important. Our words have a lot of power. And let me take you back a little bit. Where it all starts from is your childhood. When you're much younger, what are the words that are used in your house? What are the words that your long-term friends have been using a lot? Is it I can? Is it I can't? Right? So what are the words that you choose in your life? That is the um, that is the shield, or that is the lens that is created, and kind of that's what shapes your perspective in life. So if I'm using
Exactly.
positive words constantly, or yeah, if I'm using positive words, what happens is my outlook over time, and I don't mean 1 year, I don't mean 2 years, I mean literally 1 month. And why I'm saying this was because when I did my coaching course, I saw a complete change in myself very early on, because I made it a point to use positive words through my entire journey in everything I did. So I was mindful of it, that I know we can use words and change our perspective. So let me do it.
Right.
So that kind of
You
creates
mentioned,
the
yeah,
audience.
awesome. So you mentioned that the words we use, the words we're exposed to early on in our childhood, that our friends and family use, shape our perspective. So what relation does words have with fear in specific?
Okay, if I keep telling myself I'm scared, okay, or something bad is going to happen to me, that will obviously drive a fear in me. Okay, so I'll give
Right.
you I'll give you a very I'll give you an example, and this is what happened to me recently. So I traveled from Bombay to Delhi by flight about 2 weeks ago. And the minute I saw an article saying that, an Indigo flight from Bombay to somewhere else, luckily it wasn't Delhi, but Indigo flight, and I took an Indigo flight, had some people detected on this date, which was the same date as mine. So immediately that fear came in, right? Oh God, what if this happens to me? The crew could have been the same. What could happen? And then suddenly I took a step back and I said, okay, this could happen. But it could also be that I'm perfectly fine because I took all the necessary precautions and I am okay. I am perfectly fine, you know? And I said that to myself till my, quarantine got over, and I'm okay. So it's a lot to do with what you say to yourself. That's the power it has.
Yeah, and your body and your mind listen to whatever you say to them, right?
Yeah,
Which is
it's
super
like,
powerful.
yeah, and if you tell yourself a story, um, time and again that story becomes true. Even if it's not
Exactly.
in your mind, it becomes true.
Right. So we have a question here related to what we're talking about.
Okay.
Dehangi asks, but isn't saying it also a way of acknowledging it?
Yes, it is. That is how you acknowledge it. So, first is to be aware of something. So, you're aware that I am feeling this certain way. Secondly, you're saying, okay, I need to talk about this, or I need to vent out. Or even if I stand in front of a mirror and say, okay, you know what, this is what I'm feeling right now. It's done. Now, let me move forward. So, yes, it is a way
Mm-hmm.
of acknowledging it.
So earlier you spoke about how our first instinct is to dive into work, right? So Millie asks, why is it that that is our first instinct?
Great question. Very good question, Millie. Because we always take the easy way out. If I
Ah,
tell you, if I tell you
yeah,
you can get a Amazon package in 1 day, or you'll get it in 4 days, you'll go for the 1 day, right?
right.
Despite the slight quality difference that there could be.
Mhm. But sometimes isn't the easier way better than the more difficult path you are planning to choose? What do you have to say about that?
Linda, you're right. It is situation based, but I also feel the easy way out um, could be a temporary solution. So it
Right.
depends on what your eventual goal is going to be. And
Mm-hmm.
the way to actually look at it is, um, if you what works best for you, what your best solution is may not be the best solution for me, right? May be different for me. So if you have trained your mind to say the right solution is the best solution for me and the easiest for me, it'll happen. It'll also be easy for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. The next thing I want to know is what actionable steps can one take, you know, to what actionable steps can one take to navigate through stress and fear right now using words?
So one thing that you can do, and everything that I'm going to share is not temporary, only related to today. These are things that you need to adopt in your life and consistently do it. So one thing could be affirmations, which I feel work tremendously well, but they only work tremendously well if you connect to it. So the easiest thing to do would be top 10 affirmations to avoid stress or to overcome stress. Correct. And I
Mhm.
find something which is, I am free, I am the best, nothing can touch me. Do I resonate to that? When I close my eyes and I say, I'm the best, nothing can touch me, can I picture something over there? So, affirmations is a great way to a great actionable step to actually reduce the stress and fear in yourself, in your system. but you have to connect to it. So if you want to read 100 affirmations and you feel, yes, this one really connects to me, and when I close my eyes, I can picture it, that's it. Over time, you'll actually start genuinely feeling it.
So how does one, practice writing or saying out affirmations on a day, on a regular basis? How do they
Okay.
cultivate that habit?
It's pretty simple. I think you wake up or you give yourself a time. Now, what I do when I start something new is I put it on my calendar and say every day. So every day, if I have to get a calendar notification saying time for affirmations, whatever I'm doing, I can take out 1 minute because I'm going to say my affirmation, which is one sentence 5 times to myself.
Mhm.
Right, I don't have to have had a bath and sat down and had a cup of coffee to say my affirmation to believe in it. So I think it's fairly simple. When I started, what I used to do, like I said, calendar, I also added it to my to-do list.
Mhm. Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. So, Nishchal Sharma has a question. He
Hmm.
asks, every mental thought has a physical effect on your body. How do you not get scared of the physical effect of the mental thought?
Okay. Okay, good question. Nishan, what happens is what you think you feel. Okay, it's also the other way around. If I start right now jumping, I will start feeling excited or I will feel that energy, right? So it
Yeah,
also is the other way around.
yeah.
So try to use your body language, the things that you do, the physical activities that you do in order to complement how you want to feel.
Hmm. That makes so much sense. So, a lot of people are finding it difficult to deal with the pandemic as nothing as such has ever happened to them in their very own lives,
Yeah.
and also because it has impacted every aspect of their lives. So, how does one keep themselves emotionally happy and engaged at the same time?
What you need to do for this, first, again, going back to the first thing that I said, is to understand and know that it's normal to feel this way, right? If we have 5 people and we ask them when the lockdown was announced, how did you feel? How did you react to it? Someone will say good, someone will say not so good, someone will say, I accepted it, right? Why does the same situation make you feel in different ways? Because of how you're thinking. So if you say the pandemic is creating a lot of stress in my life, it indeed will create a lot of stress. What you can do is something like, maybe journaling. Journaling is very useful, but also do something where you actually think of what you're grateful for. So, talking about stories, why don't I tell myself a happy story? It's a story that I'm grateful for today. And that really helps you because when you see that, okay, this is what I really have, these are the relationships I have, I'm privileged to be able to be inside my house, to get the best of food, to be able to go and experiment in cooking and not think about one ingredient that I might waste. I feel small things are what you have to be grateful for. And if you tell yourself a grateful story, you'll be able to overcome this in the best possible way.
Hmm. That's such a wonderful advice, Ankita. Okay, so
Thank you.
Nistil has another question. He's asking, how do you counter a negative emotion and neutralize it with a positive thought?
Okay. Again, I think Nishil, you're asking really good questions. So what do we do now? If you tell me that I am in this situation and I'm feeling really terrible about it, what is going to happen? You have tried to deal with it yourself and you felt even worse. But the minute you step slightly back from the situation, because right now you're very close to the situation, step a little behind and then say, okay, let me look at it as a third person. So Ankita is feeling terrible. Okay. And I say, okay, if Linda is feeling terrible, what am I going to tell Linda? So looking at
Mm.
it from a third person perspective. So I think
Right.
we see this a lot in movies and shows where suddenly a random duplicate comes in front and they're kind of giving you the opposite advice.
Yeah.
But that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
So
That
looking at
makes
a
a lot of
situation from a third person perspective.
yes. I also read somewhere, I think I read on Medium, that every time you're feeling like this, you should maybe just look at a picture of the space. You'll realize how tiny you are, you know? So that's
That's
something
interesting.
that
That's interesting. That could be taken in both ways, though, Linda.
I know exactly. I was just thinking about it after I said it. Yeah. It depends on perspective again.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
okay, we have a question. How do we deal with being away from our friends and loved ones for so long? Loneliness really adds to the stress and anxiety.
Okay, absolutely, it does. What can you do? Be connected socially. So we're supposed to physically distance ourselves, not socially. The term that has been used is kind of warped because we're socially connected at every point, and it's supposed to remain that way. So
Mhm.
keep set up like certain days or times where you say, okay, fine, Monday 7 o'clock, five of us are going to chat, are going to get onto a Zoom call. So you're kind of looking forward to something. So plan ahead. You unfortunately cannot go and meet and hug your friends and hug your family who you haven't met for that long. So that is the situation we're in. We kind of need to accept that. So I think plan ahead. That really helps.
Mhm.
So
Okay. So,
generally, as
yeah,
kids or as adults, we all thrive on routine. We all
mm,
thrive when we have something to look forward to.
yes, that makes so much sense. And it's great. So, is it possible to be too positive to a degree that we ignore the current problems that we're facing? How do we address that? So, before you answer this question, Ankita, I'd like to say something. There's this meme that's been going around. When the pandemic was officially announced, when everyone got to know that there's a pandemic, the stress level and the anxiety level was super high, and
Right.
now it's very low and people are even going outside. So I
Yeah.
think this question is, it relates to that, and I'd love for you to answer it.
So I think we should have hope. We should be optimistic. We definitely should be optimistic, but it's also important to have a bit of pinch of realism. So which
Hmm.
is why when I said when you say certain affirmations, you have to connect to it because you have to believe it.
Right.
So you train yourself like that. So it's great to be venturing out and saying nothing will happen, but a pinch of realism is always important.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
Linda, I also actually want to add something that I just thought of when you shared this, that another way to actually deal with this is to a simple thing to be able to appreciate. So right now is the time where we can appreciate the small things in life, right? So if it's a
Right.
birthday, you're making a video, or you're wishing your friends on video call. That's a big thing now.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
in, so
And
so.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm so sorry for cutting you off,
No, no,
but
no.
I was saying that I think right now the pandemic has really taught us how important all these little things are that we took for granted, and also how important it is to take care of ourselves and everyone around us.
True, absolutely. And how do you do that? If you just make that little extra effort to say, okay, you know what, mom, the food was really good today, or mom, I'm going to help you in the kitchen today, or it's your birthday, so let's arrange a Zoom call with our friends. Taking that little initiative, um, getting that initiative from your friends, both ways, that really helps. So admiring the small things.
Yes, absolutely. So Nishchal has another question. He's asking,
Okay.
what's the best way to deal with negative thoughts that come into your mind?
So initial, like I said earlier, try to look at it as a third person. If you get a thought, you have the ability to look at a better or positive, a more positive thought. You can also ask yourself a few questions. So questioning is very powerful. Maybe you can ask yourself, okay, is this thought that I'm getting, is this true? So this thing that I'm sharing, it's called think technique, where you ask yourself from T, is this true? You ask yourself, is this thought helpful? Is the thought inspiring? Is the thought necessary right now? Do I have the time to really give time into it? And is it a kind thought? If not, how
Right.
can I change this thought into a kinder thought? So the minute you're cognizant of it, you're thinking of it, okay, I want to do better, I want to change a negative into positive, then you will be able to.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. Yes, that's wonderful, Ankita. Okay, so if you guys have any more questions for Ankita, please do send them in right now.
Nishir, you're doing a great job. Keep sending in questions.
Yeah.
No, but Linda, I think you guys as well are doing an absolute fab job at SoulConnect. And I actually want to take a minute to appreciate everything that you guys are doing and the people that you have been. I think we've had a talk offline as well. Your appreciation for people really is look, it's great. And it's going to take you a long, long, long way.
Thank you, Ankita. You have always been very kind and supportive towards us, and that means a lot to me and the entire team. So, Millie is asking, how do we prevent ourselves from creating negative narratives about our lives?
So, when you're in a good state of mind, when you're happy, write down your story and write the best parts in it. So, when you're low and when you're actually getting those negative narratives going, talking to you and kind of pulling you down, you have that to go to. But you cannot write that when you're already getting a negative thought. So if right
Mm-hmm.
now you're in the best frame of mind, or at 3 a.m. you wake up and say, I can't sleep, I want to do something, write down the best, story that you want to tell yourself and the story you want to believe in.
Yes, exactly. One thing I personally do is I keep a hype file where
Okay.
all the compliments I've received related to the kind of person I am and the kind of work I do, I just take a printout of it and then I just add that to my hype file. And every time I'm feeling low or I
Uh,
feel like the work I do isn't worthy or I'm not qualified enough to do the work I do, I just open the hype file and read everything that's in it.
wow, that's amazing. That's really amazing, and I think that obviously helps. And I think if anyone can kind of take that from you in this conversation, that would be amazing.
Yeah, it would. So, Nistal asks, if someone isn't in the best of health, how do they still keep themselves positive? So, I think by health, he means physical health.
Okay. So I think then what others around that person can do is try to help them. So of course you are responsible to make yourself happy. Yes. Maybe talk to them, talk positive things to them, make them feel good, because that actually might make them feel, oh yes, we are worthy. The same thing that you said right now, right? When you feel low, you look at the good things that people have said about you. So maybe hype them
Right.
up a little more than normal, and be positive around them, make them laugh, make them happy, and you might just, positivity and laughter is quite infectious, so they might catch that.
That's wonderful. I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
So for someone who isn't, so everyone's at their homes right now, right?
Yeah.
And for those who aren't in an environment that's very supportive of them, how do they thrive or even stay sane or happy during when they're surrounded by people who are not supportive of them?
Okay, so one is yourself. You set yourself a routine. Maybe write down the things that you've been wanting to do. Maybe cook something for yourself. Do something special for yourself. Do all those things. Try to absorb a lot of positive content. So even if you're watching a show, I personally feel if you watch something funny or you watch something light, you feel like that. So that may be a good thing. And you can also then say, if you're saying people around them are not so positive, you also have to understand they too are going through something. So maybe you should accept that and say, okay, who can I really rely on? Who can I get support from and speak to that person? Like I said, schedule a call. Maybe what you can do is schedule a venting out call for 1 hour every week. So a couple of my clients have been doing this, when they have certain issues that they are facing and their friends are facing, but their friends don't want to reach out to anybody or take any professional help. So I told them, why don't you do it? So they feel that level of comfort as well, and they have been doing it and they have seen that change in them.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Uh,
And
also,
that's related. Yes.
also, uh, when you give, okay, in whichever way you can, you say something kind to one kind thing to one person, even, that will make your day and that will keep you going.
Exactly. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Gargi asks, how do you deal with relationships that have been affected because of distance?
I think that's a very personal situation, Gargi. If you can give me a little more context and you can message me after this, I'll be able to help you better.
Yeah. So, Ankita, okay, guys, if you have any questions, please send them in. We're kind of running out of time. So, till then, Ankita, why don't you tell us a little about how you help people as a life and youth leadership coach?
So I really try to understand from them what their goals are, why they are coming to me, and based on that we create a plan and create a flow. My what I want to do and what I try and do every time is try to empower them to find their solution. So I don't want them to be dependent on me. I want them to have the ability to be able to stand tall and say, okay, this is what I should be doing in a situation
Mhm.
like this. So yes, as a life coach, I help people through different phases in their life, and through a youth leadership coach. Right now, I've been helping a lot of companies to actually how to treat your employees, how to work with them in a time like this. Yeah, and
Mhm.
and also as an initiative from my side during this entire time, what I'm doing is I've created some modules on stress management because I feel that's something, whether working or not working in a company or not, that's something we're all facing. So how do you overcome that stress? And I do this pro bono for companies right now.
That's really nice of you. And what made you decide to like become a life coach in the first place?
So that's actually a long story. I'll try to shorten it as much as possible. So I used to work in the event industry and then hospitality industry. And before getting out of college, I had my 5 years planned. But 2 months into it, it was a complete disaster. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. And I started doing events because I really liked events, and I continued with that. And I said, when I find my calling, I will find it. And while I was in my last job, I I realized through a conversation, met somebody random, who called me, a friend of mine who used to work in this place who I didn't know at that time. So she called me and said, I know this is the work that you do. Can you just come and help me over a chat, 30-minute chat? It's like, yeah, sure. So I went, I met her. The chat, of course, prolongs. And instead of talking about business and how she could grow because she had started something of her own, we started talking about, more important things. So as a person, what do you feel? As running this company, what is your vision? What is your mission? What do you want to do? And I think when I walked out of that conversation, I realized this is also something I can feel. I can feel that I have added value to somebody and I made a
Mhm.
difference in someone's life. So I had a great boss in my previous job. I had a great job. Everything was lovely, but I just wasn't satisfied enough. So I think when your calling comes, your calling comes.
That's beautiful. And is there anything that you want the viewers to take away from this conversation? If there's one thing that you'd like to tell them, what would that be?
You are your biggest strength and your biggest weakness. So you can choose what you want to accept in your life. Do you want to be strong? If yes, you can do it all by yourself.
Okay, so
So,
before I ask my last, yes,
yeah.
please continue.
No, I was waiting for you.
Okay, so before I ask my last question, where can people find you, and where can they learn more about you?
So they can log into my website, www.ankitajaktiani.com, or the easiest and quickest way to reach me is through Instagram. So Ankita Jaktiani underscore coaching. If you DM me with any challenge that you have or any questions that you may have, I'm quite responsive there.
Yeah, she's very responsive and she's also very helpful. So if you're looking for a life coach or just a life coach, just reach out to her. She's wonderful.
Thanks, Linda. Thank you
And
so much.
so, Ankita, my last question for you is, what is the kind of impact you want to have on this world?
I want to empower people to be able to empower others. And if I can do that, then I think um, that's what I want to do, really.
That's beautiful, and I hope you are able to do that. And we have spoken for I think a couple of times over Zoom and phone calls, and you have empowered me to take so many amazing steps. I can't tell you guys who are watching about it right now, but you'll know about it super soon. And Vihangi says this was an extremely informative session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rehangi, and thank you everybody for tuning in. And Linda, thank you so much. And I'm really sorry about the technical issue that we faced right in the beginning.
It's not a problem. Thank you, Ankita. Thank you for your time.
See you.
And yes, see
Bye.
you.
Keep
Bye.
doing what you're doing at Soul Connect. It's amazing. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.